Have you ever wondered why your life never feels completely fixed? The moment one problem disappears, another one quietly takes its place. You finally earn more money. Now you worry about losing it. You finally find love. Now you fear being abandoned. You finally achieve the dream you spent years chasing. Yet somehow, your mind still whispers, "This isn't enough." There must be something else to fix, and without realizing it, you spend your entire life running toward a finish line that keeps moving farther away. But what if I told you something that could completely change the way you see your life? What if your greatest problem is not your relationships, not your career, not your past, not even your circumstances? What if the real problem is the mind that keeps convincing you that peace is always one step away? According to Buddhist wisdom, most people are trying to repair their lives while completely ignoring the one thing creating most of their suffering, their own mind. That is why some people have almost nothing, yet sleep peacefully every night, while others have everything they once dreamed of, yet still cannot escape fear, anxiety, and emptiness. The difference is not the life they are living. The difference is the mind they are living with. So before you spend another day trying to fix your world, stay with me, because these 6 timeless lessons may completely transform the way you think, the way you suffer, and the way you live. And by the end of this journey, you may discover that life was never asking you to fix it. It was only waiting for you to finally understand your own mind. Your mind creates the suffering that life never asked for. Most people wake up every morning believing they are carrying the weight of life. They think their stress comes from work, from money, from relationships, from other people, from all the things happening around them. And yes, life can be difficult. Life brings loss. Life brings disappointment. Life brings uncertainty. No one escapes these experiences, but if you look closely, life is not carrying nearly as much as your mind is. There is a huge difference between what actually happens and what your mind continues doing long after it happens. Think about it. A single event happens. Someone ignores your message. A plan does not work. You make a small mistake. Someone criticizes you. You receive bad news. Or maybe someone simply looks at you in a way you do not understand. These moments are real. They happen, they may even hurt, but then something else happens, something far more powerful. Your mind immediately begins creating a story. They don't respect me. I always fail. Nothing ever goes my way. I should have done something different. People never appreciate me. What if everything gets worse? What if this is only the beginning? Within a few minutes, the original event is already over, but the conversation inside your head has only just begun. Hour after hour, your mind keeps replaying the same moment. You imagine different conversations. You think about what you should have said. You wonder what someone else is thinking. You imagine problems that have not even happened yet. Sometimes this continues for days, sometimes for weeks, sometimes for years. The event lasted only a few minutes. The suffering lasted much longer. Not because life kept hurting you, but because the mind refused to let the moment end. Imagine dropping one small stone into a calm lake. The splash lasts only a moment. Within seconds, the water becomes peaceful again. Now imagine dropping that same stone into your mind. Instead of allowing the water to become calm, the mind keeps throwing the same stone over and over again and again, long after the lake would have become still. That is exactly what overthinking does. It keeps reopening wounds that reality has already closed. This is why two people can experience the exact same situation, yet one person slowly heals, while the other remains trapped. One person accepts what happened, learns from it, and continues living. The other keeps replaying the memory every single day. Each replay feels just as painful as the first time. The difference is not the event. The difference is what the mind chooses to do with it. Buddhist wisdom teaches something incredibly powerful. Pain is part of life. No one escapes disappointment. No one escapes rejection. No one escapes failure. No one escapes change. Every human being experiences these things, even the happiest people, even the wisest people, even those who appear completely peaceful. Pain is not the enemy. Pain simply reminds us that we are alive. But suffering becomes much heavier when the mind refuses to release what has already happened. The mind carries yesterday into today. Then it carries today into tomorrow. Before long, a single painful experience becomes an entire way of living. Many people believe they are fighting life, but in reality, they are fighting their own thoughts about life. And that battle never truly ends. Because every time one worry disappears, the mind quietly creates another. It has become trained to search for danger, to search for problems, to search for reasons to feel afraid. Even when everything is peaceful, have you ever experienced a quiet evening? Nothing was wrong. You were finally able to rest. No arguments, no emergencies, no bad news. Everything around you was calm, yet suddenly your mind whispered, "What if something bad happens tomorrow? What if I lose everything? What if they leave me? What if I fail? What if I am not enough?" Notice what happened. Nothing outside changed. Only your thinking changed. And suddenly, your body became tense. Your breathing became shorter. Your heart became heavier. This is the incredible power of the mind. It can create fear without any real danger being present. That is why the Buddha encouraged people to observe the mind instead of immediately believing everything it says. Because the mind is not always speaking with wisdom. Sometimes it is speaking through fear, sometimes through old pain, sometimes through insecurity, sometimes through memories that no longer belong to the present moment. The mind often confuses the past with the present. Someone hurt you years ago. Now your mind expects everyone to hurt you. Someone betrayed your trust. Now your mind struggles to trust anyone. You failed once. Now your mind tells you not to try again. Without realizing it, many people allow these old voices to become their identity. I am not good enough. I always fail. People always leave. I will never change. My life never works out. But listen carefully. These are not facts. These are repeated thoughts. And repeated thoughts slowly become beliefs. The more often you repeat something, the more real it begins to feel, even if it has never been true. Imagine hearing the same lie every day for 10 years. Eventually, part of you would begin believing it. This is exactly what happens inside the mind. The inner voice repeats the same painful stories so often that you stop questioning them. You simply accept them as reality. But Buddhist wisdom invites you to pause. Instead of asking, "Is this thought making me afraid?" ask something much more powerful. Is this thought actually true? That single question can begin changing your entire life. Because awareness creates space between you and your thoughts. And inside that space, freedom quietly begins. Imagine spending your entire life wearing a pair of dark glasses. Every morning you wake up. Everything looks grey. Everything feels dark. Eventually, you forget you are even wearing the glasses. You begin believing the world itself has no color. Then one day, someone gently removes them. Suddenly, the trees look alive. The sky looks brighter. The sunlight feels warmer. Nothing outside has changed. The world was always beautiful. Only your vision had changed. This is exactly what awareness does. Awareness removes the dark glasses created by fear, created by anger, created by regret, created by endless thinking. Life has not suddenly become easier, but you finally begin seeing it without the heavy filter of an untrained mind. The greatest prison is not built from stone. It is built from thoughts that you never question. It is built from beliefs you never examine. It is built from stories you keep repeating until they feel like truth. And the beautiful truth is this: you are not your thoughts. 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 That watches them come and watches them go. The moment you stop believing every thought your mind creates, you stop giving those thoughts complete control over your life. That is where healing begins. That is where real freedom begins. Not when life becomes perfect, not when every problem disappears, but the moment you begin watching your thoughts instead of becoming them. Because the prison door was never locked. You simply believed it was. And awareness is the key that has been in your hands all along. You cannot change your life while thinking with the same mind. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing that a different life will automatically create a different mind. They tell themselves, if I had more money, I would finally stop worrying. If I found the right relationship, I would finally feel complete. If I could move somewhere else, everything would become better. If I achieved success, peace would naturally follow. So they spend years chasing the next destination, the next opportunity, the next relationship, the next achievement, the next version of life. They believe happiness is waiting just one more step ahead. But when they finally arrive, something unexpected happens. For a short time, they feel excited. Everything feels fresh. Everything feels hopeful. They believe they have finally escaped the life that made them unhappy. But slowly, the excitement fades. The same fears begin returning. The same worries appear. The same overthinking comes back. The same empty feeling quietly follows them, and they begin asking themselves, why do I still feel this way? Because they changed their surroundings, but they never changed the mind that was experiencing those surroundings. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones. Every day it hurts your shoulders. Every day it slows your steps. One morning, you decide to move into a beautiful new house. The house is bigger. The view is breathtaking. Everything looks perfect, but you never remove the backpack. Soon, your shoulders begin hurting again, not because the house is wrong, but because you carried the same weight into a different place. This is exactly what many people do with their minds. They carry fear into new relationships. They carry insecurity into successful careers. They carry anxiety into peaceful homes. They carry old pain into new beginnings. Then they wonder why nothing truly changes. The problem was never the place. The problem quietly traveled with them. Buddhist wisdom reminds us of a truth that is easy to forget. Wherever you go, your mind goes with you. You cannot run away from your own thinking. You cannot escape yourself by changing your address. You cannot find lasting peace simply by changing your circumstances, because peace is not something waiting outside of you. It is something that slowly grows inside you. Look carefully at people around you. Some have very little, yet they smile easily. They sleep peacefully. They enjoy simple moments. They laugh without pretending. Then look at others who seem to have everything: success, money, recognition, beautiful homes, wonderful opportunities, yet inside, they are restless. They constantly compare themselves with others. They worry about losing what they have. They are never fully satisfied. Why? Because the human mind always carries itself wherever life goes. An unhappy mind can find problems inside paradise. A peaceful mind can find gratitude even during difficult seasons. This is why two people can live completely different emotional lives while standing in exactly the same place. The outside world is only part of the story. The inside world decides how that story feels. Many people spend years trying to rearrange their lives. They change jobs again and again. They leave one relationship and enter another. They keep buying new things. They keep setting bigger goals. They believe one more achievement will finally silence the noise inside their head. But the noise never truly disappears. It simply changes its subject. Yesterday, the mind worried about having enough. Today, it worries about losing what it has. Yesterday, it wanted success. Today, it worries about staying successful. Yesterday, it wanted love. Today, it worries about being abandoned. Notice what happened. The object changed. The habit of worrying remained exactly the same. This is why the Buddha never taught people to spend their lives controlling every outside situation. He taught them to understand the mind that reacts to those situations. Because once the mind changes, everything begins to feel different. Imagine looking into a mirror. You notice dust covering your face. Would you clean the mirror? Of course not. You would wash your face. Yet this is exactly what many people do in life. They keep trying to polish the mirror. They keep trying to force the outside world to become perfect. They believe if everyone behaved differently, if life became easier, if people appreciated them more, then they would finally feel peaceful. But the mirror was never the problem. The reflection came from within. The outside world often reflects the condition of your inner world. When your mind is full of fear, even opportunities look dangerous. When your mind is full of anger, even kindness feels suspicious. When your mind is full of comparison, nothing you achieve ever feels enough. But when the mind becomes calm, ordinary moments become deeply meaningful. A quiet morning feels like a gift. A simple meal feels satisfying. A conversation becomes something to treasure. Nothing extraordinary happened. The mind simply stopped demanding that life become something else. One of the greatest traps of the human mind is believing, I will be happy when I have enough money, when I find the right person, when people understand me, when I heal, when life becomes easier, when everything finally goes according to my plan. But that sentence has no ending, because once one wish is fulfilled, the mind quickly creates another. It keeps moving the finish line. It keeps telling you, not yet, just one more thing. You're almost there. Years pass. Years pass. Entire decades disappear, and many people never realize they have spent their whole lives preparing to live without actually living. Buddhist wisdom gently invites us to stop running, not because dreams are wrong, not because success is bad, but because no external achievement can permanently calm an untrained mind. A restless mind will always find another reason to be restless. A fearful mind will always discover another fear. A dissatisfied mind will always search for what is missing instead of appreciating what is already here. Real transformation begins the moment you stop asking, "How can I change my life?" and begin asking, "How can I understand the mind that experiences my life?" That question changes everything, because the quality of your life is not determined only by what happens to you. It is determined by the way your mind meets each moment. When the mind becomes clearer, problems no longer feel impossible. When the mind becomes quieter, life no longer feels like a constant emergency. When the mind becomes wiser, you stop chasing happiness everywhere, because you begin discovering it within yourself. And that is the beautiful truth Buddhist wisdom has been teaching for centuries. Do not spend your whole life searching for a better place to live. First, create a better mind to live with. Because when the mind changes, the same world begins to feel completely different. The same sunrise becomes more beautiful. The same relationships become more meaningful. The same ordinary life begins to feel extraordinary. Not because life finally changed, but because the one who was looking at life finally did. The mind keeps fixing the world to avoid facing itself. Have you ever noticed how quickly your mind finds something that needs to be fixed? If your work is going well, it begins worrying about your relationships. If your relationships feel peaceful, it starts thinking about money. If your finances improve, it finds something about your health to fear. If your health is good, it begins comparing your life with someone else's. It almost seems as if the mind cannot sit quietly for very long. The moment one problem disappears, it immediately begins searching for another. Why? Because the mind has become deeply attached to solving problems. It believes that if it can fix everything around you, then one day it will finally allow you to feel peaceful. But that day never comes. Because the mind is searching in the wrong direction. Instead of looking within, it keeps looking outside. Instead of understanding itself, it keeps trying to control life. This is one of the deepest illusions Buddhist wisdom teaches us to recognize. The mind convinces us that suffering is always caused by something outside of us. If only my partner changed. If only my boss understood me. If only my family supported me. If only people treated me differently. If only life became easier. Then everything would finally be okay. But have you ever noticed what happens when one of those wishes comes true? For a few days, maybe a few weeks, you feel lighter, you feel hopeful, you believe you have finally found the answer. Then slowly, the mind chooses something new to worry about. The cycle quietly begins again. This happens because the mind is not actually searching for peace. It is searching for control. It believes that if it can control enough people, enough situations, enough outcomes, then it will finally feel safe. But life has never promised complete control. Life changes. People change. Plans change. Feelings change. Everything changes. Trying to control an ever-changing world is like trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips away. Many people spend their entire lives exhausted, not because life is too difficult, but because they are trying to control things that were never theirs to control. They want everyone to understand them. They want everyone to like them. They want nobody to disappoint them. They want tomorrow to be certain. They want every chapter of life to follow their plans. But reality has its own rhythm, and reality rarely asks for our permission before it changes. The more we fight this truth, the more tired we become. Think about how much energy people spend trying to change other people. They try to change someone's personality, someone's opinions, someone's behavior, someone's feelings, someone's choices. Years pass, and often nothing changes. Meanwhile, they have completely forgotten to change themselves. This is one of the greatest tricks of the mind. It keeps your attention focused outward, so you never notice what is happening within. It is much easier to criticize another person's behavior than to quietly observe your own anger. It is much easier to blame life than to examine your own expectations. It is much easier to complain about the darkness than to light a small candle inside yourself. That is why inner work feels uncomfortable, because the moment you stop blaming the world, you are finally left alone with your own mind. At first, that silence can feel frightening, because for years, the mind has distracted itself by focusing on everything outside. It has been busy fixing other people, busy chasing success, busy worrying about tomorrow, busy replaying yesterday. Anything to avoid sitting quietly with itself. But Buddhist wisdom gently points us toward an uncomfortable truth. Everything you have been running from lives inside your own mind. The fear, the loneliness, the insecurity, the need for approval, the constant feeling that you are not enough. None of these disappear simply because life becomes easier. They disappear when they are understood. Imagine living in a house where one room is always locked. Every day you walk past that door. Every day you hear strange noises coming from inside. Instead of opening the door, you decorate the living room. You paint the walls. You buy new furniture. You plant beautiful flowers outside. The house looks more beautiful than ever. But every night, the noises return. Because the real problem was never outside the locked room. Sooner or later, you must open the door. Your mind is that locked room. For years, many people decorate the outside of their lives. They collect achievements, possessions, recognition, status, relationships. Yet inside, fear continues speaking, because it has never truly been understood. The Buddha taught that awareness is like opening that forgotten door, not to judge what you find, not to hate yourself, not to fight your thoughts, simply to see them clearly. The moment you observe fear without running from it, fear begins losing its power. The moment you observe anger without becoming anger, it begins to soften. The moment you observe your need for approval, you slowly stop depending on it. Awareness changes what force never could. This is why real transformation is quiet. It does not happen because life suddenly becomes perfect. It happens because you stop asking life to carry responsibilities that belong to your own mind. Many people say, "I just want a peaceful life." But peace does not begin with a peaceful world. Peace begins with a peaceful observer. If your mind is restless, even paradise will eventually feel disappointing. If your mind is grateful, even an ordinary day can feel deeply meaningful. This is why two people can wake up under the same sky, walk the same streets, experience the same weather, and yet one feels blessed, while the other feels burdened. The world is often the same. The minds experiencing it are completely different. One of the greatest freedoms you will ever discover is this: you do not need to fix everything around you before you deserve peace. You do not need every person to understand you. You do not need every chapter of life to go according to your plans. You do not need tomorrow to be certain. You only need to stop asking the outside world to solve an inside problem. The day you stop trying to control everything, you begin recovering the energy you have spent for years chasing the impossible. Your heart becomes lighter. Your breathing becomes calmer. Your thinking becomes clearer. And for the first time, you begin experiencing life instead of constantly trying to repair it. That is the quiet wisdom of the Buddha. Do not spend your life trying to fix a world that changes every moment. Instead, understand the mind that keeps demanding the world be different. Because when the mind becomes still, the desperate need to fix everything slowly disappears, and in that silence, you discover something beautiful. Life was never asking you to control it. It was simply asking you to be fully awake while living it. The mind keeps fixing the world to avoid facing itself. One of the greatest mysteries of the human mind is this: it almost never stays still. Even when life is peaceful, the mind keeps searching for something that needs to be repaired, something that needs to change, something that feels incomplete. If your work is going well, the mind begins worrying about your relationships. If your relationships feel peaceful, it starts thinking about money. If your finances improve, it begins worrying about your health. If your health is good, it compares your life with someone else's. If there is nothing wrong today, the mind begins worrying about tomorrow. Have you ever noticed that? It is as if the mind believes that if it ever stops searching for problems, something terrible will happen. So it keeps scanning your life, looking, searching, judging, comparing, predicting, preparing, not because danger is always present, but because the mind has become addicted to fixing. It believes that constant thinking is the same as protection. It believes constant worrying is the same as wisdom. It believes endless planning is the same as peace. But none of these beliefs are true. Thinking has its place. Planning has its place. Solving real problems has its place. But the mind rarely knows when enough is enough. It keeps working long after the work is finished. It keeps searching long after there is nothing left to find. It keeps worrying long after the danger has disappeared. That is why so many people feel mentally exhausted, even on days when almost nothing went wrong. Their body is sitting peacefully in the present, but their mind is fighting battles that do not even exist. According to Buddhist wisdom, the greatest struggle is not with life. It is with the restless mind that refuses to stop chasing control. The mind whispers, "If I can just fix this one last thing, then I will finally relax." But have you noticed? There is always one last thing, one more problem, one more goal, one more fear, one more disappointment, one more reason to postpone peace. This is how many people unknowingly spend their entire lives. They postpone happiness until the next achievement. They postpone peace until life becomes easier. They postpone gratitude until everything is perfect. But perfection never arrives, because the mind keeps moving the finish line. Imagine running toward the horizon. The harder you run, the farther it seems to move away. No matter how much progress you make, you never actually reach it. This is exactly how the restless mind works. It promises happiness, but only after one more victory. Then another, then another. Years pass. Your hair begins to turn gray. Your children grow older. Your parents become weaker. Entire seasons of life quietly disappear. And one day you realize you spent your whole life preparing to live. Instead of actually living, the Buddha understood this long before modern psychology. He saw that the mind is always reaching for somewhere else. If you are here, it wants to be there. If you are young, it wants to be older. If you are older, it wishes it were young again. If you are single, it wants a relationship. If you are in a relationship, it imagines another life. The mind rarely says, "This moment is enough." Instead, it says, "What comes next? What else is missing? What still needs to change?" Notice how exhausting that is. No matter how beautiful today becomes, the mind is already chasing tomorrow. No matter how much you accomplish, the mind quickly forgets it. It immediately begins measuring the next mountain. This endless chasing has nothing to do with life itself. It has everything to do with the habits of the mind. Many people think they are searching for happiness, but often they are simply running away from themselves. As long as they stay busy, they never have to sit quietly with their own thoughts. As long as they keep fixing other people, they never have to understand themselves. As long as they keep blaming the outside world, they never have to question the stories inside their own mind. This is why silence feels uncomfortable for so many people. The moment the television is turned off, the phone is put away, the conversations end, the mind finally becomes loud. Old memories return, old regrets appear, old fears begin speaking. Instead of listening with awareness, most people immediately distract themselves again. Another video, another conversation, another goal, another problem, anything except sitting alone with their own mind. But Buddhist wisdom teaches that what you avoid today will quietly control you tomorrow. The fear you refuse to understand will continue shaping your decisions. The sadness you refuse to feel will quietly follow you into every relationship. The insecurity you refuse to observe will keep asking strangers to prove your worth. Running away from the mind never frees you from it. It only makes the prison invisible. Imagine living in a beautiful house. Every room is clean. Every wall is decorated. The garden is full of flowers. Everything looks perfect from the outside. But beneath the house, a small crack begins growing in the foundation. You ignore it. Instead, you repaint the walls. You buy new furniture. You decorate every corner. Visitors admire how beautiful your home looks. But the foundation continues weakening. One day, the entire house begins to shake. Not because the decorations were wrong, but because the real problem was underneath all along. Your mind is the foundation of your life. Everything you experience rests upon it. Your relationships, your happiness, your confidence, your peace, your purpose. If the foundation is filled with fear, nothing built on top of it will ever feel completely safe. If the foundation is filled with comparison, nothing you achieve will ever feel enough. If the foundation is filled with self-hatred, no amount of praise from others will convince you that you are worthy. That is why changing your outer life can never replace changing your inner life. The Buddha never taught people to escape life. He taught them to understand the one who experiences life. Because once the observer changes, everything else begins changing naturally. One of the greatest signs of wisdom is no longer feeling responsible for controlling everything. You stop trying to change every person's opinion. You stop trying to make everyone like you. You stop trying to force life to follow your schedule. You stop demanding certainty from an uncertain world. Instead, you begin working with the only thing that has truly been yours from the beginning: your own mind, your own attention, your own awareness, your own response. Slowly, something beautiful begins happening. Life becomes lighter. Not because your problems disappear, but because you stop carrying problems that never belong to you. You stop carrying other people's expectations. You stop carrying tomorrow before it arrives. You stop carrying yesterday after it has already ended. For the first time, your shoulders begin to relax. Your breathing becomes softer. Your heart becomes quieter. And then you discover something that completely changes the way you see life. Peace was never hiding behind a perfect world. It was hiding behind an unobserved mind. The moment you stop trying to repair everything outside of you, you finally have the courage to understand what is happening within you. And that is where every lasting transformation begins. Because the world has never been asking you to control it. It has only been inviting you to awaken. The day you stop fixing life and begin understanding your own mind is the day life quietly stops feeling like a burden and begins feeling like a path toward freedom. The world you see is a reflection of the mind you carry. Have you ever wondered why two people can live in the same city, work at the same job, face the same challenges, and yet experience completely different lives? One person wakes up feeling grateful. The other wakes up feeling defeated. One notices beauty everywhere. The other notices only problems. One feels hope. The other feels fear. The world around them is almost identical. The difference is not the world. The difference is the mind looking at it. This is one of the deepest truths in Buddhist wisdom. You do not experience life exactly as it is. You experience life through the condition of your own mind. Your mind is like a window. If the window is clean, the world looks bright. If the window is covered with dust, everything appears dark. The world did not suddenly become darker. Only the window changed. Many people spend their entire lives trying to change what they see outside, without ever cleaning the window through which they are looking. This is why lasting peace remains so difficult to find. Think about a day when you woke up feeling happy. Maybe you had slept well. Maybe your heart felt light. Maybe nothing was troubling you. On that day, small inconveniences probably did not bother you very much. Someone was rude. You smiled and moved on. Traffic was slow. You accepted it. Something did not go according to plan. You adjusted without becoming angry. Now think about another day. You woke up already carrying stress. Perhaps you had been overthinking all night. Perhaps you were emotionally exhausted. On that day, the smallest problem felt enormous. One negative comment ruined your mood. One delay felt unbearable. One misunderstanding stayed in your mind for hours. What changed? Did the world suddenly become more difficult? No. Your inner world changed. And because your inner world changed, everything outside appeared different. This is how powerful the mind truly is. The mind does not simply observe reality. It quietly colors reality. If your mind is full of fear, neutral situations begin looking dangerous. If your mind is full of anger, even kind people begin looking like enemies. If your mind is full of insecurity, compliments become difficult to believe. If your mind is filled with comparison, nothing you own ever feels enough. You always see what someone else has. You always notice what is missing. You always feel one step behind. Not because your life is empty, but because your mind has been trained to search for emptiness. This is why two people can receive the exact same compliment. One smiles and feels thankful. The other immediately thinks they're only being nice. The words were the same. The ears were different. The mind interpreted them differently. Many people believe they are reacting to life, but often They are reacting to the stories already living inside their own minds. Imagine carrying a bottle filled with blue water. Now imagine wearing glasses with blue lenses. Everything you see begins looking blue. After enough time, you forget you are wearing the glasses. You begin believing the entire world has changed color. This is exactly what happens with the mind. Fear becomes a lens. Anger becomes a lens. Jealousy becomes a lens. Pride becomes a lens. Regret becomes a lens. Everything passes through those filters before you experience it. Without awareness, you mistake the filter for reality itself. That is why the Buddha taught people to observe the mind before trying to judge the world. Because if the observer is confused, everything observed becomes confusing. There is another truth that many people never realize. The mind naturally looks for evidence to support whatever it already believes. If you believe, "Nobody cares about me," your mind will notice every moment someone ignores you, but it will overlook the people who truly care. If you believe, "I am not good enough," your mind will remember every mistake you make, but it will quickly forget every success. If you believe, "Life is unfair," your attention will naturally collect every painful experience, while quietly ignoring the countless blessings surrounding you. This is how beliefs become stronger, not because they are always true, but because the mind keeps searching for proof. It is like planting a single seed. If you water only that seed every day, eventually it becomes a giant tree. Meanwhile, all the beautiful flowers growing nearby receive no attention. The mind works in exactly the same way. Whatever you feed grows. Whatever you repeat becomes familiar. Whatever you focus on begins shaping your reality. That is why awareness is so powerful. Awareness interrupts old patterns. It gently asks, "Is this really true? Am I seeing reality? Or am I only seeing my fear?" That simple pause changes everything, because for the first time, you stop reacting automatically. You begin responding consciously. Imagine standing beside a perfectly calm lake. When the water is still, you can clearly see the mountains reflected on its surface. But when the water becomes disturbed, everything looks broken. The mountains appear twisted. The sky looks distorted. The reflection seems damaged, yet the mountains have not changed. The sky has not changed. Only the water has. Your mind is that lake. When your mind is restless, life appears chaotic. When your mind is clouded by anger, people seem impossible. When your mind is overwhelmed by fear, the future looks frightening. But when the mind becomes still, you begin seeing life as it truly is. Not perfect, not terrible, simply real. And there is incredible freedom in that, because reality is often much kinder than the stories our minds create about it. Many people spend years trying to escape difficult emotions. They try to escape sadness, fear, loneliness, disappointment. But Buddhist wisdom teaches something much deeper. You do not heal by escaping your emotions. You heal by changing your relationship with them. You stop saying, "I am angry," and begin saying, "Anger is visiting my mind." You stop saying, "I am anxious," and begin saying, "Anxiety is passing through me." That small change creates enormous freedom, because you are no longer becoming every emotion that appears. You are simply observing it, like clouds passing across the sky. The sky never becomes the cloud. It simply allows the cloud to pass. Your awareness is the sky. Your thoughts are only passing weather. Some days the weather is bright, some days it is stormy, but the sky remains untouched. The real you remains untouched. The more deeply you understand this, the less power your thoughts have over your peace. Eventually you begin realizing something extraordinary. You cannot always choose what life brings. You cannot choose every person you meet. You cannot choose every challenge that arrives. But you can slowly learn to choose the condition of the mind that meets those experiences. And that changes everything. Because when your mind becomes calmer, the world begins looking softer. When your mind becomes grateful, ordinary moments become extraordinary. When your mind becomes compassionate, you stop seeing enemies everywhere. When your mind becomes peaceful, life no longer feels like something to survive. It becomes something to appreciate. That is why the Buddha never began by changing the world. He began by transforming the mind. Because the world you experience every single day will always be shaped by the mind you carry within you. Change that mind, and without moving to another city, without finding another job, without becoming another person, your entire life quietly begins to look different. Not because the world has changed, but because, for the very first time, you are finally seeing it with clear eyes. Life begins to change when you stop fighting what already is. One of the greatest causes of suffering is not pain itself, it is resistance. It is the quiet battle happening inside your own mind. A battle that most people do not even realize they are fighting. Every single day, the mind argues with reality. This should not have happened. They should have treated me differently. I should already be successful. My life should look different by now. I should not feel this way. Notice the word that appears again and again, should. That single word creates an invisible war inside the heart. Reality quietly says, this is what is happening. The mind immediately replies, no, I refuse to accept it. That argument may last for months, sometimes years, sometimes an entire lifetime. The painful truth is this: reality always wins. No matter how much you argue with yesterday, yesterday never changes. No matter how much you resist the present continues unfolding. No matter how desperately you try to control tomorrow, tomorrow remains uncertain. Yet millions of people spend their entire lives fighting battles they can never win. Not because they are weak, but because they believe resistance will somehow protect them from pain. It never does. It only multiplies it. Imagine standing in the middle of a powerful river. The water keeps flowing forward. Instead of moving with it, you begin pushing against the current. At first, you feel strong. You believe you can force the river to change direction. But after a while, your arms become tired. Your breathing becomes heavy. Your entire body begins to ache. The river has not become stronger. You have simply become exhausted. Life works the same way. Many people are not tired because life is difficult. They are tired because they spend every day fighting the direction life is already flowing. They fight the past. They fight change. They fight aging. They fight disappointment. They fight uncertainty. They fight people who refuse to become who they want them to be. And without realizing it, they even begin fighting themselves. This is why so many people feel exhausted, even when they have done very little physically. Their body has been resting, but their mind has been at war all day. Buddhist wisdom teaches that acceptance is not weakness. It is one of the greatest forms of inner strength. Unfortunately, many people misunderstand acceptance. They think acceptance means giving up. It means becoming passive. It means allowing people to hurt you. It means never improving your life. But that is not what the Buddha taught. Acceptance simply means seeing reality clearly before trying to respond wisely. Because you cannot solve a problem that you refuse to see. You cannot heal a wound that you pretend does not exist. You cannot move forward while constantly looking backward. Acceptance says, yes, this happened. Yes, this hurts. Yes, this is difficult. But I will not waste my life wishing reality were different. There is incredible freedom in those words. Imagine carrying a heavy suitcase every single day. Morning after morning, year after year, you carry it everywhere. Eventually, the weight feels normal. You forget what it feels like to walk freely. One day, someone gently asks, "Why are you still carrying that?" You stop. You look down. You slowly put the suitcase on the ground. Suddenly, your shoulders feel lighter. Your breathing becomes deeper. Your body relaxes. The weight was never attached to you. You were simply unwilling to let it go. This is exactly what happens when we stop fighting reality. Most of the weight we carry does not come from life. It comes from refusing to release what has already happened. Think about how many people are still arguing with something that happened years ago. A relationship ended. Someone betrayed them. Someone rejected them. Someone failed to love them the way they hoped. The event ended long ago, but the mind continues reliving it every day. Each memory becomes another argument with the past. The past cannot hear your complaints. It cannot answer your questions. It cannot return and become different. Yet the mind keeps demanding exactly that. This is why forgiveness is so powerful. Forgiveness is not saying, "What happened was acceptable." Forgiveness is saying, "I refuse to spend another day carrying what I cannot change." That decision does not free the other person first. It frees you. The Buddha often reminded people that holding on to anger is like holding a burning coal with the intention of throwing it at someone else. Before it reaches them, it burns your own hand. The same is true for resentment, regret, bitterness, hatred. The longer you carry them, the heavier your own heart becomes. Another place where people fight reality is through constant comparison. They look at someone else's success and reject their own journey. They look at someone else's relationship and reject their own season of life. They look at someone else's happiness and decide they cannot be happy until they have the same things. Without realizing it, they are arguing with the life that has already been given to them. Comparison quietly steals the only moment where peace can ever exist. The present moment. Because while your attention lives inside another person's life, you completely abandon your own. Acceptance gently brings you back. It whispers, "This is your path. This is your lesson. This is your moment. Walk it fully." Another invisible battle many people fight is against uncertainty. The mind desperately wants guarantees. It wants to know everything will work out. It wants proof that nobody will leave. It wants certainty that failure will never happen. It wants tomorrow to be completely predictable. But life has never worked that way. Every sunrise arrives without asking for permission. Every season changes in its own time. Every flower blooms when it is ready. The river does not worry about where it will flow next. The tree does not fear the arrival of autumn. Nature moves with life. Human beings often resist it. That resistance creates suffering. The Buddha taught that wisdom begins the moment we stop demanding certainty from an uncertain world. Instead of saying, "I will only be peaceful when everything is guaranteed. We begin saying, "I choose peace even while life continues changing." That is true freedom, because then your peace no longer depends on perfect circumstances. It comes from the way you meet those circumstances. Imagine standing beneath the open sky. Clouds pass overhead. Some are bright, some are dark. Some bring sunshine, some bring storms. The sky does not fight any of them. It allows each one to arrive, each one to remain, each one to leave. Your awareness can become like that sky. Thoughts will come, emotions will come, joy will come, sadness will come, success will come, loss will come. Nothing remains forever. The more deeply you understand this truth, the less afraid you become of change, because you stop expecting life to remain exactly the same. You begin flowing with it instead of resisting it, and something extraordinary begins happening. The energy you once wasted fighting reality becomes available for living reality. You notice simple moments again. You enjoy ordinary conversations. You appreciate quiet mornings. You smile more easily. You breathe more deeply. Nothing outside may have changed, but everything inside has. This is why Buddhist wisdom teaches that peace is not found at the end of life. It is found at the end of resistance. The moment you stop arguing with what already exists, you create space for wisdom. You create space for healing. You create space for compassion. You create space for joy. Because acceptance is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of a completely new way of walking through life. The day you stop asking life to become different before you allow yourself to feel peaceful is the day your real transformation begins. Not because every problem disappears, but because your heart is no longer at war with reality. And a heart that is no longer fighting life finally becomes free enough to truly live it. Master your mind first, and your life will quietly follow. After everything we have explored, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Your greatest responsibility in this life is not to control the world. It is not to control other people. It is not to make every situation perfect. It is not to remove every obstacle from your path. Your greatest responsibility is to understand your own mind, because the quality of your life will never rise above the quality of the mind that experiences it. Many people spend decades trying to build the perfect life. They build successful careers. They buy beautiful homes. They collect achievements. They earn respect. They chase recognition. Yet when they finally arrive, something still feels missing. The outside of their life has changed, but the inside remains restless. Why? Because a peaceful life cannot be built upon an unpeaceful mind. Imagine planting a beautiful garden. You buy the finest flowers, the richest soil, the most expensive tools. Every day you water the plants, yet beneath the surface, the roots are slowly dying. No matter how beautiful the flowers appear for a while, they cannot survive for long, because healthy roots create healthy trees. Strong roots create strong branches. Deep roots create lasting beauty. Your mind is the root of your entire life. Everything grows from it. Your words grow from it. Your relationships grow from it. Your decisions grow from it. Your habits grow from it. Your future quietly grows from it. If the root is filled with fear, fear spreads into everything you touch. If the root is filled with gratitude, gratitude slowly transforms every part of your life. This is why the Buddha always guided people back to the mind. Not because the outside world is unimportant, but because the mind shapes how every experience is lived. Think about a seed. The seed never forces itself to become a giant tree overnight. It grows quietly, little by little, day after day. No one notices the change, yet beneath the ground, something extraordinary is happening. The roots are becoming stronger. One day, everyone notices the tree, but nobody saw the invisible work that made it possible. Inner transformation works exactly the same way. You may not notice dramatic changes tomorrow morning, but every time you choose awareness instead of automatic reaction, your roots become stronger. Every time you choose compassion instead of anger, your roots grow deeper. Every time you refuse to believe every fearful thought, your inner foundation becomes more stable. Most people underestimate small changes. They believe transformation must happen suddenly. They want one powerful moment that changes everything forever. But life rarely works that way. The mountain is climbed one step at a time. The ocean is filled one drop at a time. A peaceful mind is built one thought at a time. One decision at a time. One moment of awareness at a time. The beautiful thing is this: every single day gives you another opportunity to begin again. Yesterday does not have to become tomorrow. The thoughts that controlled you last year do not have to control you today. The fears that once shaped your life do not have to shape your future. The mind can learn. The mind can heal. The mind can become peaceful. That is one of the greatest gifts of being human. Many people ask, how do I change my life? But perhaps there is a better question. Who is the person experiencing this life? Because if the observer changes, the experience changes. Imagine reading the same book twice. The words are exactly the same, but you are different. Your understanding has grown. Your heart has matured. Suddenly, you notice lessons that were always there. Life is very similar. Often, life does not need to change. The one reading it does. This is why wisdom is so powerful. Wisdom does not always remove difficulty. It changes the person facing difficulty. The storm may still come, but the tree has grown stronger roots. The waves may still rise, but the sailor has become wiser. The night may still arrive, but the heart has learned not to fear the darkness. That is true transformation. The Buddha never promised a life without pain. He never promised a world without loss. He never promised that every dream would come true. Instead, he offered something much greater. A mind that no longer becomes a prisoner of every changing circumstance. Imagine carrying a candle through a dark forest. The forest remains dark, but the light allows you to walk without fear. Buddhist wisdom is that light. It does not remove every challenge. It teaches you how to walk through every challenge with awareness. Many people spend their entire lives waiting for life to become peaceful. The Buddha invites us to become peaceful first, because when your heart becomes quiet, you stop needing constant approval. When your mind becomes clear, you stop believing every fearful thought. When your awareness becomes stronger, you stop reacting to everything that happens around you. Instead, you begin choosing your response. And in that choice, real freedom is born. There is another truth that many people discover too late. Life has never been a race. It has always been a journey of awakening. You were never born simply to earn money, to impress people, to collect possessions, to constantly prove your worth. You were born to wake up, to understand yourself, to love more deeply, to live more consciously, to leave this world with a peaceful heart instead of a restless mind. One day, everything you own will remain behind. Your titles, your achievements, your possessions, your status. None of them will travel with you. But the mind you cultivate today, the compassion you practice, the peace you develop, the wisdom you gain, these become part of who you are. That is why every ordinary moment matters. The way you speak to yourself matters. The way you respond to disappointment matters. The way you treat people matters. The thoughts you choose to feed matter. Because every moment is quietly shaping the person you are becoming. Imagine standing at the edge of a beautiful lake at sunrise. The water is perfectly still. The sky reflects across its surface like a mirror. For a few moments, everything feels complete. Nothing is missing. Nothing needs fixing. Nothing needs changing. That peace does not come from the lake alone. It comes from the silence inside you. The Buddha taught that this silence is always available, not only beside mountains, not only inside temples, not only during meditation. It is available in your ordinary life, while drinking tea, while walking to work, while sitting with your family, while breathing quietly before sleep. Because peace is not a place you travel to. It is a way of meeting the present moment. So stop waiting for the perfect life before allowing yourself to feel at peace. Stop believing happiness lives somewhere beyond the next achievement. Stop asking the world to become different before you allow your heart to rest. Instead, begin with the only place where lasting transformation has ever truly begun: your own mind. Train it with patience, guide it with compassion, observe it with honesty, protect it with wisdom. Because when your mind becomes your friend, life no longer feels like something you must survive. It becomes something you are deeply grateful to experience. And one day, without even realizing exactly when it happened, you will wake up and notice something extraordinary. The problems that once controlled you no longer have the same power. The fears that once ruled your decisions have become quiet. The peace you spent years searching for in the outside world has been living within you all along. That is the greatest lesson of Buddhist wisdom. Do not spend your life trying to fix a world that is always changing. Master the one place where true freedom has always been waiting: your own mind. Because when the mind becomes clear, the heart becomes light. When the heart becomes light, life becomes beautiful. And when your inner world is finally at peace, you realize something that changes everything forever. Life was never broken, only the way you were looking at it was. Perhaps the greatest discovery you can make is not that life finally became easier, but that your mind no longer needs life to be easy in order to be at peace. For so long, you may have believed that happiness was waiting somewhere ahead. One more achievement, one more relationship, one more answer, one more perfect day. But today, you have seen something different. The real prison was never the world around you. It was the unobserved mind within you. The moment you stop believing every fearful thought, the moment you stop fighting reality, the moment you stop searching for peace in places where it has never lived, something beautiful begins to happen. Your heart becomes lighter. Your breathing becomes calmer. Your days become quieter, not because life suddenly stops changing, but because you finally stop allowing every change to control your inner world. Always remember, a peaceful mind does not come from a perfect life. A peaceful life grows from a peaceful mind. The storms of life will still come. People will still disappoint you. Plans will still change. There will still be moments of pain. But once you learn to observe your mind instead of obeying it, No storm will be powerful enough to steal the peace that lives within you. That is the path the Buddha pointed toward, not the path of escaping life, but the path of waking up inside it. So as you leave this video, do not ask yourself, how can I fix my life? Instead ask, how can I care for the mind that experiences my life? Because the answer to that one question has the power to transform every tomorrow you will ever live. If this wisdom touched your heart, take a quiet moment today. Close your eyes, watch your breath, and simply observe your thoughts without judging them. You may discover that the peace you have been searching for has never been far away. It has been patiently waiting beneath the noise of the mind all along. If this video brought you even one moment of clarity, please subscribe to Golden Lotus Wisdom and join our growing community of people choosing awareness over fear, peace over chaos, and wisdom over endless overthinking. Until we meet again, take gentle care of your mind. Because the way you care for your mind becomes the way you experience your entire life. May your heart grow lighter, may your mind grow quieter, and may you walk through every chapter of life with awareness, compassion, and unshakable inner peace.